You just bought a complex piece of flat-pack furniture.
The box is open, and a sea of wooden panels, screws, and mysterious plastic bits spills onto your floor.
You see the instruction manual sitting on top of the pile.
Now, be honest with yourself for a moment. Is your first instinct to open that manual and follow the step-by-step guide? Or do you push it aside, confident that you can reverse engineer its logic just by looking at the pieces?
Do you feel a quiet confidence that the system will reveal itself to you if you just think about it hard enough? You see the components not as a confusing mess, but as a puzzle waiting to be solved.
You believe that your own logic is a more reliable guide than a set of instructions written by someone else.
The thought of following someone else's plan feels inefficient, maybe even a little insulting to your own intelligence. You start grouping screws by size and panels by their drill holes, building a mental map of the final structure. This isn't just about furniture. It's a fundamental approach to every problem you encounter. If you instinctively chose to reverse engineer the puzzle without the manual, this video is for you. Because your need to figure things out alone isn't just a quirk. It's a core part of your psychological blueprint, and we're about to read it together. There's a name for people like you: the solitary problem solver. You are the person colleagues, friends, and family turn to when something is broken because they know you will find a way to fix it.
You're the reliable one, the one with the answers, the one who can create order from chaos.
Your default setting in the face of any challenge is to retreat into your own mind, consult your own internal library of knowledge, and emerge with a solution.
But this brings us to a critical question. Where does this powerful drive truly come from? Is it a strength you've meticulously built, or a shield you were forced to carry?
Are you an architect, building out of passion for competence and design? Or are you a guardian, building for protection against a world that has proven itself unreliable? This distinction between skill and scar is the key to truly understanding your own psychology. In this video, we're going to explore both of these paths. We will dissect the inner world of the hyper-independent person, giving names to feelings you've likely never articulated. And most importantly, we will move beyond just understanding the fortress you've built around yourself. We will show you how to build a gate so you can choose when to let others in without ever compromising your strength. By the end, you won't just feel seen, you'll have a user manual for your own mind. To understand the solitary problem solver, we first need to recognize that this trait doesn't come from a single source. It grows from one of two very different psychological seeds, creating two distinct archetypes, the architect and the guardian.
First, let's meet the architect.
The architect's independence is a creative act, driven by a deep, intrinsic love of competence, systems, and efficiency.
For you, as an architect, figuring something out alone isn't a burden, it's a joy. It's the thrill of mastering a complex system, whether it's a piece of software, a financial market, or a disorganized kitchen. You see the world as a set of interconnected systems, and your greatest satisfaction comes from understanding and optimizing them. Asking for help often feels like a compromise because it introduces inefficiency and a loss of control over the elegant solution forming in your mind. Think of the person who spends a weekend joyfully setting up a perfectly optimized home media server, not because they have to, but because they love the process of making it work perfectly. That elegant, self-contained solution is the architect's masterpiece. Your self-reliance is not born from a lack of trust in others, but from an abundance of trust in yourself and the process of discovery.
You don't avoid collaboration out of fear. You avoid it to protect the integrity of the system you are building.
For the architect, independence is about the freedom to create excellence without compromise.
But then there is the other path. Now, let's talk about the guardian.
For the guardian, hyper-independence is not a creative act, it is a protective one. Your self-reliance wasn't built in a workshop of curiosity. It was forged in the fire of disappointment. As a guardian, you learned early on that relying on others often leads to being let down, misunderstood, or even betrayed. So you built a fortress around yourself, and inside its walls, you were the only one you need to count on. Every skill you learned was another stone in that wall, making you safer and less vulnerable. Asking for help doesn't just feel inefficient, it feels dangerous. It means opening a gate in your fortress and risking the chaos of the outside world. Think of the student who, after being let down in countless group projects, decides to do the entire project themselves from the start. It's more work, yes, but it eliminates the anxiety of relying on others who might not deliver. The perfect grade they earn isn't a trophy of their brilliance, but a shield that proves they were right to trust only themselves. For the guardian, independence is about safety and the predictability that comes from total control. Now, it's crucial to understand that these are not mutually exclusive boxes. Most solitary problem solvers are a hybrid, a unique blend of architect and guardian. You might be an architect in your career, loving the challenge of building complex projects. But you might become a guardian in your personal relationships, where past hurts have taught you to be cautious. The key is to honestly assess the ratio. So take a second and think about your own story. What is the balance for you? Are you driven more by the joy of building or the need to protect? Understanding that origin story is the first step towards mastering this powerful trait. Now, understanding the why is one thing, but what does this actually look like inside your head? The mind of the solitary solver operates on a unique internal software, running programs that many others don't have. One of the core programs is something we can call the internal after-action review. This is the habit of obsessively replaying past events, conversations, and decisions to extract every possible lesson. It's not about regret, it's about optimization. After a meeting, you don't just forget about it. You analyze what you said, what others said, where the logic held up, and where the argument could have been stronger. You're constantly running simulations, updating your own internal code for future interactions. This is why you rarely make the same mistake twice. Your learning curve is incredibly steep because you are your own most demanding coach. But this internal complexity leads to another common experience, a deep frustration we can call the translation loss. This is the profound gap between the rich, nuanced, and interconnected idea in your mind and the simplified version you're forced to communicate to others. You have a cathedral of thought in your mind, a beautiful, complex structure where every piece connects perfectly. But when you try to explain it, it feels like all that comes out is a pile of bricks. Imagine you're in a work meeting and you've spent days thinking about a project, seeing it from every angle. You see the entire interconnected system of risks, opportunities, and dependencies. But when you start to speak, you can only present one small piece at a time. Someone interrupts with a question about a detail that you know is irrelevant in the grand scheme, and the entire elegant structure in your mind feels like it's being disrespected. This is why you often remain silent. It's not because you have nothing to say.
It's because you have too much to say, and the cost of translation is just too high. This intense internal world also gives rise to what we can call the curse of competence. This is the pain of understanding a problem so quickly and deeply that you become impatient with everyone else's pace. You see the answer while others are still trying to understand the question. You've already run the after-action review on a plan before it's even been implemented. Waiting for others to catch up can feel like a waste of time, which reinforces the belief that it's just faster and better to do it yourself. This isn't arrogance, it's a logical conclusion based on repeated experience. Your mind moves at a different speed, and this creates a fundamental friction with much of the world. You aren't trying to be difficult or antisocial. You're simply operating with a different mental software, one that is incredibly powerful but also profoundly isolating. Living inside this fortress of self-reliance, whether you're an architect or a guardian, comes with a unique set of strengths and costs. Let's be clear about the strengths first, because they are immense. When you trust your own judgment above all else, you become incredibly hard to manipulate. Peer pressure, manipulative marketing, and emotional appeals lose their power over you because every decision is filtered through your own rigorous internal logic. You are the master of your own mind, not easily swayed by external forces. Furthermore, you are often a fountain of competence in a desert of mediocrity. In a world where many people are quick to give up or look for an easy answer, your persistence and depth of thought are superpowers. This is why you succeed where others fail, and why you are so often the person left holding everything together. Consider a founder who launches a company based on a unique vision that no one else understood. Their refusal to compromise, their relentless problem-solving, and their singular focus allow them to build something extraordinary from nothing. This is the profound upside of the solitary solver. But the walls of a fortress don't just keep danger out, they also keep connection out. The first major cost is the immense and constant risk of burnout. Being the only person you trust means you carry the weight of every problem, every detail, and every decision. Your mind never truly rests because it is always running those internal after-action reviews or preparing for the next challenge. That same founder who built an empire might collapse under the weight of their own success because they never learned to build a team they could truly rely on. The second cost is a profound and often unspoken loneliness. It is lonely at the top, but it's even lonelier inside a fortress of one. The curse of competence is that you're the first to see the problem and the last to believe anyone else can fix it. This creates a gulf between you and others, a gap that can be hard for connection to cross. Finally, there is the cost of missed opportunities. Sometimes the messy, inefficient process of collaboration can lead to breakthroughs that even the most brilliant individual could never find alone. By closing yourself off to protect from incompetence, you may also be closing yourself off from genius. So we have this paradox, an incredibly effective strategy for survival and success that also leads to burnout and isolation. So what's the solution? You can't just stop being competent, and you can't just decide to trust people who have proven they will let you down. So what do you do? So we have the origin, the internal experience, and the consequences. This is where most videos would stop, but the most important question is what you do with this information. Okay, enough theory. Let's get practical. The answer isn't to tear down your fortress. It's to build a gate with a very smart lock. I call this the three-gate protocol, a simple framework for deciding when and how to ask for help. Gate number 1 is the competence check. Before you even consider asking for help, you must ask yourself, is the person I'm considering asking truly capable of helping? This isn't about being judgmental. It's about being realistic. Assess their track record, their skills, and their reliability based on evidence, not just your hope that they'll come through. If the answer is no, the gate stays closed and you solve it yourself with no guilt. If the answer is yes, you proceed to Gate 2, the cost-benefit analysis. Is the time and energy I might save by asking for help greater than the potential cost of managing them or redoing their work? Sometimes teaching someone or managing their work is more exhausting than doing it yourself. Be brutally honest in this calculation. If the benefit outweighs the cost, you can proceed. This brings us to Gate 3, the low-stakes experiment. Never delegate a critical, high-stakes task to someone you haven't tested. Can I test this person's reliability on a small, low-risk task first? Ask them to research a minor point for a presentation or handle one small component of a project. Their performance on this small task gives you the data you need to decide if you can trust them with something bigger. This protocol respects your nature. It's systematic, logical, and it minimizes risk. It turns the emotional decision of trusting someone into a rational process of risk management. You don't have to tear down your fortress. You just need to build a gate you control. If you're finding these kinds of frameworks for understanding yourself useful, consider subscribing. We're dedicated to turning complex psychology into practical tools every single week.
So, where does this journey leave us?
We started with a piece of furniture and the choice to read the instructions or reverse engineer the design. We've learned this choice isn't arbitrary. It stems from a deep part of your identity, whether you are an architect building for joy or a guardian building for safety. We've put names to the silent processes in your mind, like the internal after-action review and the frustrating translation loss. We've weighed the immense strengths of your self-reliance against the heavy costs of burnout and loneliness. And we've given you a practical tool, the 3-gate protocol, to manage your fortress without demolishing it. So, whether you built your fortress for joy or for safety, the truth is, you were the one who built it. This means you hold the blueprints. You are the architect of your own mind. The goal was never to convince you to stop being a solitary problem solver. It was to give you the conscious choice over how you use that incredible skill. Your self-reliance is not a diagnosis. It's a tool. And now you are the one who decides how to use it. You get to choose the design. If you want to dive deeper into the architect versus guardian model and get more tools tailored to your specific type, we've created a new digital guide which you can find in the description. And as always, thank you for letting us into your mind today. Now, 2 videos should be appearing on your screen. If you related more to the architect, I suggest our video on the psychology of deep focus. If the Guardian story resonated with you, then check out our video on how to rebuild trust. Click the one that fits you best and continue your journey.